Communication is very important in our daily lives. We find it increasingly difficult to go throughout a day without communicating in some sort of a way. This is the topic on today's discussion board. The first thing we're going to talk about is everyday life. Now, in my experience, I have discovered that there are two forms of communication. Well, two different types, really. And after that, we're going to explore social media. It's a very broad topic, and it's actually a subtopic of one of the types of communication. And the last thing we're going to explore is environment. And that's in and of itself, it relates to the other two actually, but it is a whole different um, type as well. And so the first thing that I want to reiterate is the importance of communication, because communication, we find ourselves doing it rather naturally. We find that it's crazy how often that it happens, whether it's with body language, whether you're waving or giving a handshake to somebody in some sort of a way, because a handshake can be, in the business sense, or it can be in a friend sense as well. And so we find it increasingly difficult, like I stated earlier, to go throughout a day without having some form of communication. And I challenge people to try it because it is very difficult. On to our first topic, everyday life. The two different types that I was talking about earlier was professional and casual. These are the two types of communication, and I discovered this because people talk about social media, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the biggest thing with that is it is a subquality of casual. Casual is something that you're going to do more so with your friends or somebody that you know really well, say a family member or something. It's very casual. You don't have to work at it. Whereas business is on the opposite end of the spectrum, and it's professional. It's very cut and it's very dry and it's almost rehearsed. And in that sense, it makes it so it's a better. You're leading with your better foot forward in a sense. And that leads us to our second one, which I've kind of talked about a little bit in this video already. Social media. It's very casual. There's actually 140 characters that you can use on Twitter, and it becomes very hard to say what you mean in that sense on Twitter because you have to shorten words a little bit, and so it becomes just a different, not necessarily a different type, but it is a whole other world of communication, and it's something that other generations aren't really used to yet. Because, and I do believe that, other generations are becoming more influenced by it because of, children and whatnot and the popularity that is sprung amongst kids. And so social media it's a whole different type of communication. It is a subpart of casual communication, but it is a whole different type in and of itself because social media is such a growing popularity that it becomes more popular, and this goes along with texting to shorten a word. And so if you were talking about, say, Twitter, you would type that Twitter instead of Twitter, and there's just a complete difference in the way that is spoken on Twitter or Facebook or texting in general than would be in face-to-face contact. And the last thing, and to conclude, is environment. And I think that this is why communication is so important in our lives, because environment really determines on what kind of communication you're going to use. If you're with your friends and you're communicating in a professional sense, they're probably going to look at you a little bit weird. And vice versa. If you're in a professional sense, say a job interview, and you're treating it very casual, you're probably not going to get the job. And so, environment is really important in communication as well. And that is all I have to say on the topic. And I appreciate you listening. Thank you, and have a good night.